Hi, my name is Rich, and I'd like to welcome you to this segment of My Wild Neighbors. Do you ever get the feeling that you're being watched? Oh, that looks to me like a juvenile great horned owl. And that reminds me of what I wanted to share with you all today, is to provide a brief overview of some of the owls, who you might say, the owls, woo, that can be found in Pennsylvania. All right, and so that's why I brought with me a little screech owl friend here, right? She'll be helping me out in the video a little bit. um, but first, I want to acknowledge that there are some things that are just totally fascinating about owls. Now, owls are raptors, and so that means they're birds of prey. And I think one of the things that fascinates people about them is that they're active at night. Mostly, we know owls as being a nocturnal species, and so they will hunt small mammals as well as other birds. Some owls even go after other owls. Mostly, we know of them being active at night. There are a couple that are active at day. We'll cover that in the video. But I want to talk about some adaptations of the owls that owls have. Notice the relatively large eyes in the juvenile great horned owl here, and that's a picture that I took at Woodland Park in Wellsboro a couple years ago. But also you can look at my little puppet here. Look how big those eyes are, right? And that is a proper anatomical feature of owls. They have large eyes that are made to take in a lot of light, and so that allows them to see much better than we do in very low light conditions. Another thing I have to talk about is the ears of the owl. You can see the tufts there. That is not the ears. It looks like ears, but the ears are on the sides of the head, right? Ears are on the sides of the head, okay? And owls, one of the adaptations that helps them to pinpoint their prey when it's really dark out is their ears are offset. Now, can you imagine if I had one ear up here and one ear down here? That would look kind of funny, wouldn't it? Well, that's how it is for owls. And they have, a lot of species have a facial disc, right? That helps to capture noise waves. And since the ears are offset, it actually helps them to be able to pinpoint prey in front of them better, right? So that's one of the really cool adaptations of owls that you wouldn't see by just looking at it. Another thing is, have to talk about their necks, right? Now, owls have a lot more vertebrae in their neck than people do, right? And so what that enables them to turn their heads 180 degrees from the direction they're currently facing. So I'm gonna turn away from you, and me and my little owl friend are both going to try to look back towards you, and let's see who does it better. Whoa. I can't quite do it. That's because I don't have that many vertebrae in my neck, and neither do you. But the owls have a lot more vertebrae than we do, so they can look 180 degrees straight behind them. That's cool, right? And the other thing I have to talk about is their wings. The wings of the owls. Have you ever heard an owl flying through the forest? Now, I'm not talking about its voice. I'm talking about the noise that its wings make. Maybe you haven't. I certainly haven't, because owls have wings that have serrated edges. And so the edges of the wings are kind of feathered, and they have edges that go in different directions. So that causes the wind that's going over the wings to become silenced. Now, for comparison, this is a wing of a turkey vulture. That's pretty big, right? That's from the wing feather. This is not a serrated wing. So since it's not serrated, when the wind blows over it, you can actually hear the turkey vultures as they fly overhead when they flap their wings. You hear that? Yeah, so if I was holding an owl feather doing that, you wouldn't hear that. But this is not a serrated wing because it's from a turkey vulture. So let's take a look at some owls, all right? So this is a juvenile great horned owl. Cool story here is a couple years ago, there was a family of great horned owls. There's the mother, right? Here's the mother, there she is. And remember how I said owls are active in low light conditions? This was early morning. And that's, you know, right at dawn and dusk are probably the best times to go look for owls if you want to see them with your eyes, most species anyway. So, but anyway, this is the female great horned owl, and she had a nest in Wellsboro at Woodland Park, and it produced 2 offspring, and this is one of them. And you can see it's starting to lose its juvenile down feathers and grow in the adult feathers. So here's a little bit on the face, on the back, and on the wing stripe here. That's the juvenile down feathers that are molting out as the adult feathers. You see some down here are coming in as it gets older. And the great horned owl, as I do these, I want to invite you to go ahead and make these calls with me, all right? Because one of the best ways to identify owls is by listening with our ears at night. And if you can pinpoint the kind of direction where you hear an owl's call coming from, and this actually goes for most birds, you can pinpoint a direction better. I know we don't have offset ears like the owls do, but we got to do the best we can with what we got, right? So I have 2 ears. I also have 2 hands, all right? So you ever look at a white-tailed deer, the way they move their ears in different directions, they're really big. So you can superficially make your ears like the white-tailed deer ears. All right, so just go like this, and point your face towards the direction of the sound that you're hearing, and that can actually help you to hear a distant owl call better than if you were just to kind of go like this. That helps. And so, all right, so the great horned owl, it sounds like this. Now, in the great horned owls, you're able to determine which one is a male and which one is a female. It's hard to do unless you have 2 owls calling at the same time. The higher pitched of the great horned owl calls is the female. The lower pitched is the male. All right, so, and I as I said, this picture and this picture were taken at Woodland Park, Wellsboro, Pennsylvania. So that's great horned owl is one of our owls that tends to thrive in kind of broken patches of small patches of woods, patchwork of woods and fields and farm. Great horned owls do really well there. All right, so let's go on to another species. This one here is the eastern screech owl. And this eastern screech owl is an owl of the forest in Pennsylvania. Of course, they can also live in some very urban settings too. I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and in our city parks, we had eastern screech owls every year, year round, really. They're year-round residents, and they come in 2 color phases. Now, this one, so. Let's see here. Where do I put my book? This is one of my field guides, Birds of the Eastern United States, and it's by American Museum of Natural History. And let me find my owls so I can show you. And that, guys, look at that. It's that was taken in mid-morning in the springtime, and he's just chillaxing there, hanging out. Okay, so. Screech owl, where are you, screech owl? There it is. All right, so you see there's 2 different color phases. This is the gray phase. This is the red phase, okay? And so this guy, I think, is a red phase. Got a little bit of red-green color deficiency going on here, but I think that's a red phase. You can confirm for me if you'd like. So the screech owl, it's so cool when you hear this one when you're walking through the woods. There's 2 different calls that it makes. Now the one call is like this. And you need to do this after me. So that's one call. And here's the other call that one makes. Kind of a descending trill. It's cool, right? All right, so let's go on to another one of our smaller owls in Pennsylvania. Is the northern saw-whet owl. Now, I didn't take this picture in Pennsylvania. I saw my first saw-whet owl in the wild in Central Park, New York City. So that's where this picture is taken. And if you look really closely, he's perched in a holly bush, and he's got a snack. He's got his dinner right here underneath him. So you see there's a tail of a mouse dangling down here, and you can see the mouse's face and body right in here. And so it seems that this northern saw-whet owl had been out hunting and caught a mouse and brought it back to its daytime roost. So northern saw-whet owl is very small owl. I think it's smaller than the screech owl just by a little bit. And did you notice that the screech owl had little tufts on top of the head, right? I can't get my hair to stay like that. Why would I? Anyway, the saw-whet owl has a rounded head. And if you look at the face, it's got that kind of white, like a white Y coming down on either side of the eye, down to the nose. That's a very good identifying feature of the northern saw-whet owl. And they're an owl of the kind of, they'll roost in thick pine trees and also garden shrubs when they're migrating. So they tend towards wet areas, marshes and things like that. But also they tend to favor pines, thick pines. And the northern saw-whet owl, if you can whistle, you can make this call. It sounds like this. So this is how the owl got its name, actually. Somebody thought that many years back that that call of this owl sounded like a saw that was being whetted. So you listen for that in late winter, early spring. That is the song of the northern saw-whet owl. All right, and so now I'd like to take a look at one of the owls that is diurnal. And the word diurnal means it can be active both day and night. This is the barred owl. And so we have these in the big forested sections of Pennsylvania, where you have big woods that are mixed, deciduous, coniferous. They can live there. We have a lot of them living in the wild asif area to the north of and a little bit west of where I am in Wellsboro, and to the west of us in the Pine Creek Gorge. There's a lot of barred owls living there. And this is an adult. And this picture was taken a few years back at Hills Creek State Park. And the barred owl has pretty awesome call. And do this one with me if you can. So this is the owl that says, who cooks for you? Who cooks for you all? And sometimes they'll just go like this. Can you do that? Sometimes it helps to make your eyes bigger when you do it. I don't know. So that is the barred owl. And if you happen upon a couple of these together in after dusk, and having a territorial dispute. You may hear what's called caterwauling. And so that's when the two barred owls it sounds like they're arguing with each other, and each of them are kind of making a crazy sounding call, like a not kidding. Sounds very similar to that. So that's the barred owl. And another one I want to show you is one that is active primarily at dusk, just before it gets dark. And this is the short-eared owl. It's not a very good picture of a short-eared owl because it's difficult to take good pictures when the lighting is very low. But I try my best. Let me show you a picture of the short-eared owl in my book here. So there it is, and it just has, and it's called short-eared owls because they do have some tufts on top of their head, but they're very small tufts and they don't show very often. And this is an owl that tends to show up. Actually, they breed typically farther north of Pennsylvania, but they'll winter in Pennsylvania, in parts of Pennsylvania. So they're migratory. They're a migratory owl. By the way, the northern saw-whet owl was also, it's a resident, but it also is very migratory as well. But the short-eared owl hunts right at dusk over shrubby fields. You see the shrubby grasses and plants here at the field where it's hunting over. Really cool to watch it fly. It almost looks like a moth flying. Very buoyant flight. That probably doesn't do it justice. But very buoyant flight. Really fun owl to watch. There's another owl. I've never seen the other owl I'm about to talk about. Now, okay, the short-eared owl is actually usually silent. Sometimes the male's courtship call can be like a kind of a rapid, but most people don't usually hear short-eared owls. Now, a close relative of the short-eared owl is the long-eared owl. As I said, I don't have any pictures of this. And rather than taking pictures off the internet, I tend to prefer to use my own pictures so I can't get caught on any kind of copyright stuff. And so this is the long-eared owl. Also tends to hunt over shrubby fields, but also requires some thick pine cover somewhere nearby. So look at it. It does have the tufts on the top of its head, and you might say it looks very much similar to the great horned owl. And there are some similarities, but it's also relatively easy to tell them apart if you see them perched in a tree. And so note the breast streaking on the long-eared owl is vertical breast streaking. See that? And if you look at the breast streaking on the great horned owl, it's horizontal. See that? So great horned is horizontal breast streaking, long-eared is mostly vertical breast streaking. And by the way, the great horned owl is significantly larger than the long-eared owl. Now, long-eared owl, this should be a fun one for everybody. It just sounds like this. Woo. That's it. Just woo. And maybe between that very simple call note and the very coloration that would blend in very well with a forest, maybe that's why there's not many people that see them. Another owl that I want to show with you today is the snowy owl. This is another. Now, I'm going to share a new word. It might be a new word for you. The word is eruptive. I-R-R-U-P-T-I-V-E. Eruptive. This owl is eruptive because it does. Now they breed in the far northern Arctic tundra, but they come down. They migrate south. Not the same way every year. So that makes them eruptive. And so we can expect to see them in Pennsylvania, but not every year and not to the same degree. And so the snowy owl it's really awesome when we do get them around. And this one right here is probably a juvenile. I'm not sure if it's a male or a female, but I tend towards female because of the dark barring. The male is about pure white. Male snowy owl is about pure white. Let me show you a picture of the male. This is from my Birds of North America, Eastern Region, American Museum of Natural History again. So here we go. So here is the female. There is the male. Oh, wait. Oh, there's the male. Yeah, right there. See how white that is? Totally white. Okay. And there's the female. And here's the juvenile. It's got a lot of dark barring on it. See that? Okay. And so this one that I managed to get pictures of when it came down to Bradford, Pennsylvania. Made a trip over there with my friends Sean and Robin and Ken and Gary a couple of years ago, and we all got to really had an awesome time getting to experience this wild neighbor. And of course we got good pictures, but we kept our distance. We kept a very nice buffer between us and the owl, because especially when they're migrating a far distance in order to survive the winter, the last thing they need is more stress on their journey. And so, all right, so quick recap, and let's have fun with this. Okay, so, and you can repeat after me if you'd like. Great horned owl. And of course, if that's the male, the female is going to be like this, because she's a little bit higher pitched. Barred owl. Their turn. Did you do it? Okay. Next, we'll do the long-eared owl. Okay. Let's do the northern saw-whet owl. That's the northern saw-whet. Now let's do the eastern screech owl. Let's do the other one. Back to the other one. Yeah, so owls are fascinating creatures, and this world is a more awesome world, a more interesting world, and maybe even a little bit more mysterious of a world, because we have joy and the privilege of sharing this world with our wild neighbors, the owls. I hope you have found this meaningful and interesting, and I hope you've had fun, and I hope you have a good day, and I will see you next time.